I still remember the day she stood on my doorstep, crying, clutching a bag of clothes like it was her last lifeline. The same woman who once laughed in my face as she drove away in another man's Camaro was now begging for my forgiveness. But my heart had long turned to stone. My name is Daniel Brooks, and for most of my life, I thought I had it all. A loving wife, Melissa, who I'd known since high school. A best friend, Trevor, who had been by my side since childhood. We weren't wealthy, but we were stable. I worked a steady job, provided a roof, and believed loyalty was something neither of them would ever betray. Before I continue, make sure you subscribe. Your support keeps this channel alive. Now, let's go back to where it all began. Everything changed when Trevor suddenly rose to wealth. One day he was broke like me. The next, he was flaunting a gold-plated watch, a brand new Camaro, and designer suits that screamed luxury. People in town whispered about how he must have struck gold. He even bought a huge house in the rich neighborhood, and everyone looked at him like he was a king. At first, I congratulated him. Deep down, though, suspicion lingered. Nobody just wakes up rich without explanation, unless they've hit the lottery or something darker. But Melissa didn't care about logic. She only cared about the shine. Her comparisons started subtly. Trevor takes his girl to Miami. Why can't you do something special? Then it grew sharper. Maybe if you worked harder, Daniel, we could live better too. I brushed it off, believing it was just frustration. But whispers reached me. Melissa had been seen in Trevor's Camaro more than once. My heart refused to believe it, until the day I walked into our home and saw the truth for myself. There she was, my wife. And there he was, my best friend. Together, laughing in the place I paid for, like I was invisible. The shock tore through me. My chest collapsed, my legs gave out, and before I knew it, I was in the hospital. Doctors said it was stress and emotional trauma, but to me, it felt like my soul had been ripped out. I stayed there nearly a month, and during that time Melissa never came to see me. Not once. Instead, she flaunted her new life with Trevor around town while I became the laughingstock. People who once admired us whispered behind my back. I wasn't the strong husband anymore. I was the fool, the man who got traded in for a Camaro. But life has a way of turning tides. While Melissa paraded, someone else quietly stood by me. Her best friend, Sophie. She visited me in the hospital, brought me food, and most importantly, listened. She didn't pity me. She reminded me I was worth something. That loyalty still existed in this world. When the divorce papers came, I felt like I was dying. But Sophie was there to catch me. Day after day, she rebuilt the pieces of me Melissa had shattered. Slowly, I began to live again. By the time Melissa was gone, Sophie and I were inseparable. A few months later, she moved in with me, and when she told me she was 5 months pregnant, I finally felt joy again. Just as I was healing, karma came calling for Trevor. His wealth hadn't come from hard work or luck. It had come from an illegal scheme. Fraud, laundering, shady deals. It all caught up with him. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Every asset he owned was seized. The Camaro, the mansion, the clothes, everything. And Melissa, the woman who left me for his shine, she was tossed out on the street with nothing but a single bag of clothes. One rainy night, I heard a knock on my door. I opened it to see her, Melissa. Her hair messy, her once perfect skin pale, her eyes swollen from crying. She dropped her bag and fell to her knees. "Daniel, please," she begged. "I made a mistake. I should have stayed with you. Please. Just give me one more chance." For a moment, I saw the girl I once loved. The girl I had promised forever to. But then I remembered the night I found her with Trevor. I remembered the coldness in her eyes when she left me in that hospital bed. The way she mocked me by parading through town with her new king. Behind me, Sophie stepped out, her hand resting protectively on her pregnant belly. Her eyes narrowed at Melissa. "He's not available," she said firmly. "You lost him the day you betrayed him. Leave." Melissa sobbed harder, her tears soaking the doorstep. She begged, pleaded, clutched at my leg. But my heart no longer ached for her. It was calm, steady, and stronger than ever. I bent down, looked her in the eyes, and whispered, "You showed me no mercy when I was broken. Now I return the favor. Go to hell, Melissa." Then I closed the door. The whispers in town changed overnight. I was no longer the man people mocked. I was the man who rose again, the man who rebuilt his life when everything was stripped away. Melissa became a cautionary tale, the woman who traded loyalty for glitter and ended up with nothing but dust. Trevor rotted behind bars, forgotten by the very people who once envied him. And me? I built a family with Sophie. I found peace, love, and redemption in a place Melissa never expected. In the quiet moments, watching Sophie smile while setting up our baby's nursery, or feeling the tiny kicks under her belly, I realized how lucky I was. True wealth wasn't in gold watches or flashy cars. It was in loyalty, in the people who stood by you when the world tried to crush you. Melissa had traded her soul for an illusion. When the glitter faded, she was left with nothing but regret. I, on the other hand, had endured fire and come out stronger, standing with someone who truly valued me. That difference was everything. As months passed, Melissa became just another face in the crowd. She tried reaching out a few more times, but each attempt went unanswered. My life was no longer tied to her. Her choices had chained her to misery, while mine had freed me into a better future. The town that once mocked me now respected me again. Not because I sought their approval, but because my story had shifted. I wasn't the man who was betrayed. I was the man who rose from betrayal, who built something real out of ashes. And in their whispers, Melissa's name was always followed by pity, while mine carried something else: strength. When our child was born, holding that tiny life in my arms, I felt the final piece of healing settle into place. I no longer thought about Melissa, or Trevor, or the humiliation they caused. My revenge was complete, not through anger or destruction, but by living a life so fulfilling they couldn't even dream of it. Because in the end, the greatest punishment for those who betray you is watching you thrive without them. And that's exactly what I did.